Good evening and welcome to Tribune Sports Live. I'm Zach Steele. He's Chris Yao. And Chris, folks are going to be talking about that Connor Adair throw and that Grayson Cash catch for years to come.
Yes, they will be. It was an incredible play. Just a fantastic diving catch from Grayson Cash. The eruption from the crowd, it was just incredible, as if they had just won a national championship.
Well, we'll get into a little bit more about that catch and that ball game later in the show. Pinson gets a win over Carver. They solidify their playoff position.
They did. Pinson had to hold off. They scored 21 quick and then had to hold off Carver, but they did a good job.
And Clay, again, troubles on the road down at Pike Crossing.
It was a very tough game for Clay, and just that's just how it goes sometimes when you run into a guy like Malik Cunningham.
Well, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about that Husky win over James Clemens, their first 10-0 start in history.
Trustful Vision Care is now proud to offer sports vision training for athletes. This sports-specific training improves hand-eye coordination and reaction time. As a former college athlete, Dr. Steele knows how important perfect vision is to succeed on the athletic field. For athletes, 20/20 vision is not enough. Trustful Vision Care.
Welcome back, and at times it wasn't pretty, but the Hewitt Huskies are Region 6 champions after their thrilling 21-20 victory over James Clemens.
What an incredible game to be at. I wish that I could have been there. Unfortunately, I was not, but I will say I watched the film, and I'm telling you, these Husky kids, they just never gave up. They never quit. They had that resolve that you see in winners, and exactly what you expected and want to see from your kids in a tough game. They did earlier against Bob Jones, and then they just continued against James Clemens in this one and win the region championship for their first undefeated season ever.
And really, probably, they might tell you this was probably one of the worst games we've played all season. They really, had trouble against the James Clemens defense, albeit a very, very good at James Clemens defense. 3 probably SEC caliber players on that defense. But the Huskies uncharacteristically turned the ball over. And just didn't make plays that we're accustomed to seeing them make.
Right, and sometimes that's going to happen. You're going to have those games where a lot of times you just don't have your A game, but that's not necessarily a knock on Hewitt, because they are very good offensively, and we know that. But that James Clemens defense is something fantastic, and I think you'll see that in the playoffs.
Well, I was impressed really with both defenses in this ballgame, especially in the second half. The Hewitt defense played lights out, especially in the front 7. They really did a good job of stuffing that James Clemens running game. But I tell you, it looked bleak for the Huskies there late in the ballgame. They get stopped on a 4th down play with about 5-6 minutes left. They have to intercept the pass in the end zone to keep their chances alive. The defense makes a big stop and gets the offense the ball back with about 1:50 left to go in the ball game, and then it's the Connor Adair show, 6 of 7 passing on that last drive.
And that's what you have Connor Adair for. That's why he's your starting quarterback. That's why he has been the guy that everybody has looked to all season. He set a school record for touchdown passes in a season with that last touchdown pass. So pretty cool pass to break that one on. Now, Hewitt wins the region. They face Oak Mountain next week, or in 2 weeks, I'm sorry.
In 2 weeks, they get the bye week this week. They get a week off to prepare and kind of heal up the bumps and bruises, and looking forward to the playoffs with this team. This team can make some noise.
Absolutely, they can. I'm excited to see it.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about Clay Chalkville and their trip down to Montgomery.
Jefferson Memorial Funeral Home and Gardens is home-owned and operated by the Seal family. I've known Eddie Seal and his son Adam for over 25 years. They're community-oriented and, more importantly, good folks who know how to take care of people in their time of need. That's how Jefferson Memorial became Trustful's funeral home and cemetery. Jefferson Memorial is located at 1591 Gadsden Highway. You can call them at 322-0543. Before your need arises, let Jefferson Memorial family take care of your family.
Welcome back. Clay jumped out to a 10-0 lead, Chris, and then after that it was all Park Crossing in this ball game.
It was all Park Crossing. It was incredible to watch. I'm sitting there watching this game unfold, and early on I thought, man, Clay Chalkwell's really got something going here. Of course, the first touchdown pass was, a good job by Tyrese Sewell to break out of containment. He finds Terrell Cole standing by himself. Cole takes it for a touchdown. Clay did get stopped on the next drive inside their 5. They had to kick a field goal. They got stopped on downs another time inside the 5 before halftime. It was just as if, one, their offense couldn't get anything rolling to put a drive together, and two, that defense had no answer for Malik Cunningham, who is going to Louisville and looked just like Lamar Jackson out there.
Well, as you said, the defense just had no answer for Park Crossing. They were playing without Willie Miller this week with the injury he had last week. How does it look for Clay in the playoffs if Willie Miller can't get back healthy?
Without Willie Miller, I know that this may sound a little crazy, but Tyrese Sewell is a capable backup. He has a little bit more of a running threat than Willie does. He will keep it a little more on the quarterback reads and things like that. So I'm not sure that it's a horrible, just deflating aspect if Miller's not able to play, but they do have to play Ramsey, and the bottom line is it doesn't matter what their offense does, because that Ramsey offense is what's going to be the difference, and they've got to find a way to make up for it on defense.
And so we're for sure they're going to take on Ramsey. I was about to ask you about that. They will go and travel to Ramsey. They are going to be the 4 seed in their region.
All indications say yes. Clay will probably end up playing Ramsey as the 4 seed, and it's really going to be a matter of whether the defense can contain that offense, because they are just fantastic over there.
Well, we hope that they can get it together. They also have a bye week, so we hope that they can get it together and get this thing going in the right direction. They've had a couple of tough weeks. So when we come back, we're going to talk about Pinson Valley, who escaped with a victory over Carver to solidify their playoff position. We'll be back.
Trustful Vision Care is now proud to offer sports vision training for athletes. This sports-specific training improves hand-eye coordination and reaction time. As a former college athlete, Dr. Steele knows how important perfect vision is to succeed on the athletic field. For athletes, 20/20 vision is not enough. Trustful Vision Care.
Pinson got all they wanted from a scrappy Carver team, Chris, and they survived this ball game 21-14.
Just like we talked about last week, Zach, it was a matter of finding a way to stop them defensively. They did that after jumping out to a 21-0 lead with Kamel Shaver's 3 touchdowns and 189 yards rushing. After that, it was a matter of making plays when they had to make plays, and they did that.
Well, let's look ahead a little bit for the playoffs for Pinson. This is a team that can run the football and they play defense. So that usually is a recipe for success in the playoffs.
It is, and especially in Class 6A where, you've got to have a strong defensive front, and they have that no matter who they play, whether it be Hueytown or Homewood. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch because both of those teams are very similar to Pinson. And it's going to be a lot of fun to see this team, because I really believe Pinson has a chance to really make some noise in the 6A playoffs. I really do.
And it's been fun to watch this team kind of grow up over the year. They had some hiccups early, and I think the turning point of their season really was that victory over Clay Chalkwell. They finally get over the hump against Clay, and they realize, hey, you know what? We can do this.
Well, it was an up and down year for Pinson. I mean, they beat McAdory in week 1, then they come back and they lose week 2, and then you get the win over Clay Chalkwell. It was just it was a year of inconsistency, but I think that they finally found that consistency, and that's what is most important, is finding your identity as a team, and they have done that with the running threat. They've done that with the defensive line. Unfortunately, Torrey Hendricks out for the year. But other than that, I feel like this team has really found its identity.
They'll take on Pleasant Grove next week in a non-region game. It'll be the end of their regular season, a game that they should probably win. We'll talk about that one a little bit more in the show. When we come back, we'll actually have that prediction, and we'll have our players of the week. We'll be back in just a moment.
Jefferson Memorial Funeral Home and Gardens is home-owned and operated by the Seal family. I've known Eddie Seal and his son Adam for over 25 years. They're community-oriented and, more importantly, good folks who know how to take care of people in their time of need. That's how Jefferson Memorial became Trustful's funeral home and cemetery. Jefferson Memorial is located at 1591 Gadsden Highway. You can call them at 322-0543. Before your need arises, let Jefferson Memorial family take care of your family.
Welcome back, and we'll start with our players of the week, Chris. And for Hewitt, you know, we thought about this and debated it a little bit. Was it going to be Grayson Cash? Was it going to be Connor Adair? And I have to say Connor Adair, just because he was 6 for 7 on that final drive, and he had a defender bearing down on him, and not just any defender, a guy who is the #1 ranked player in the state of Alabama, and he stood tall, makes a perfect throw to Grayson Cash for the touchdown.
You have to say that Connor Adair was fantastic on that drive, and he was, and Grayson Cash made a fantastic catch. But as far as the game goes, from start to finish, you know, Connor Adair was fantastic throughout the game. Obviously made some mistakes, but he didn't let that affect him, and when he had to make the plays, he made the plays. And that's what you have to do. I also want to give a shout out to Tyler Inkoviak, because without him, we might still be playing.
Yeah, that's right. That overlooked blocked extra point in the first half was the difference in the ball game. Hewitt makes their extra point to go up 21-20, and Clemens misses the extra point, or has that extra point blocked by a big young man. He's 6'4" at least. I saw him on the sideline. He's a big guy.
He is, and so congratulations to him for probably making one of the bigger plays of the night as well.
All right, for Clay, we'll give it to Derek Bean, who had the scoop and score. Really the only good news for Clay in the second half of that ball game.
Man, that was an incredible play, too. It was about a 51-yard return, and he just rumbled and tumbled and bumbled all the way down the field. It was like Chris Berman was calling it. It was fantastic. I loved watching it, and he was just excited when you saw him come on the sideline, despite the fact that, you know, Clay Chalkville was getting beat pretty badly. But you could see the excitement on his face and all the players around him. So he had a great game, too. Had a couple tackles and a sack, too. So.
Well, it's something every defensive player dreams of, is picking that ball up and rumbling down the field. So, speaking of defensive players, Zapeth Cunningham played fantastic on defense for Pinson. 2 sacks in this ball game, and just one of the anchors of that Pinson defense.
Yes, Pinson's defense is the strength of their team, but outside of Kamel Shaverst, so you have to find some way to set yourself apart, and Cunningham has done that, and anybody named Cunningham from Pinson's probably going to make some plays.
That's right.
So this guy right here, he had a great game, and congratulations to that young man for really putting together a good ball game against Carver.
All right, so we've got one prediction for this week. Pleasant Grove, 4-5 coming into this game, comes to Pinson to take on the Indians. Your thoughts on this one?
Pleasant Grove is not a bad football team. Their record does not indicate as the type of team that they are. I really feel like that this one again comes down to, can Pleasant Grove stop Shaverst, and can Pinson, make the plays on defense? And I think they will. I would venture to say Pinson probably wins this one 27-20.
I'm with you on this one. I think Pinson wins this one. They just have too many things going for them right now. The running game, the way the defense is playing. I like them in this ball game, 24-14. All right, that's our show for this week. We'll be back. We're going to be previewing playoff games mostly next week. We'll give you a quick review of Pleasant Grove at Pinson, but we're going to mostly break down the playoffs for you. For Chris Yao, I'm Zach Steele. Good night, everybody.